Right, so at the should would cut out.
It's not even being recorded. There's no camera in it.
Yeah, the sound, the mic sound is on, and I think your screen is being recorded, I'm guessing.
I'm going to be I'm making my own dinner here, too.
Yeah, maybe we'll flip it and see what you're making there. I also forgot my line, so.
And now we're cooking.
Yeah. Now we're cooking. Welcome to episode 3. Last time on Dancing with the Stars, joining us virtually.
Well, so first of all, you might be doing a cooking show, but I am doing kind of like drunk history. But I'm, really, really glad that Wisconsin has decided that the whole COVID thing is done. We're over
right. Wisconsin and several other states decided that the virus will adhere to their socio-political wishes.
Oddly enough, the hospital numbers show otherwise, but I guess
they didn't get the memo
about flu data. We in the hospital are still doing what we can, and hopefully maybe some people will choose to continue wearing masks out in public.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I will continue drinking.
Yeah. What we're starting with is sweet potatoes, right? And we're going to just kind of bake those. But I'm going to give a couple of hacks to the viewers at home, life hacks. If you'll notice, I cut the ends of my sweet potato here. By the way, I don't know if it's a tuber or not, right? But I think it is, or it's a root vegetable. At least it has roots, or it grows in the ground. Well, you know what? We're going to follow up on that, and we'll get back to everybody. And then the other thing I did is I kind of did a little quick slice down one of the sides, and that gives it stability. You see how it's not rocking here? Now, we left one without it, and so let's just do a little compare and contrast. See, this one here, well, that's no good. That's just rolling around. That's just waiting for an accident to happen. And this one, that's stable. And that's physics. Wow. That's just physics. Yeah, there's still a child. But the child is not currently in my hands, nor in Aaron's hands. And that isn't...
Wow. How is that possible?
Right, exactly, right? So folks at home might be thinking, wait a second. All right, I get the life hack about the sweet potatoes, and that's life-changing. You're welcome. And yet also, boy, there's something that seems a bit off on this. Where is the child? And are they, is the child unsupervised? And that's not the case. We want to put all the concerns that folks have at ease. The child is supervised, but the child is supervised by the child's grandparents.
What's your favorite fan letter that we've received thus far?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's too many to pick one. The essence of this show is around spreading power and disrupting sort of hegemonic or hierarchical constructs. And so within that, I have all the power. I mean, I have more power. I mean, all the power is distributed equally. I just have more of the equal power than you, is all I'm saying. By the way, we should probably turn the oven on. I forgot about that part.
Where'd you go?
Well, we got to turn the oven on, which I forgot to do. Oh, and then also...
But when you take the potato and you cut part of it off, what do you do with that section? You don't throw it away, do you?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, right? Because we don't want to waste anything here. And so in theory, what we would do with this is we would compost it, and that compost would then help us fertilize our soil, and maybe even you'd be using our garden into which we could maybe plant some sweet potatoes, and the circle of life sort of is engaged. We won't be doing any of that. What? I mean, that's just in theory, right? There's a bit of a gap that sometimes happens on this show between theory and practice. What we're doing here is just putting a drizzle onto the sweet potatoes. Shamu meets Bill O'Reilly, the no spin splash zone. We want to make sure the viewers know is that we set the oven for 400 degrees. It's important to know the sequence here because the first thing we're going to do is put the sweet potatoes into the oven because they take longer to bake. But 99% of cooking really is physics. And as we know, 99% of physics is style. What we really want to do, though, when you cook sweet potatoes, is you don't want to put them on top of each other. They want to have space. Most of them aren't on top of each other. And then some of them are, but that's okay because we don't strive for perfection here. We try to disrupt the white supremacist ideas of perfection. We're mostly about disruption here. We like to draw back the curtains. And sometimes it's a little scary to look behind the curtain, but that scary is okay. Now, I like to put a little bit of cinnamon on my sweet potatoes, so I'm going to throw a little cinnamon on top here. Just a little, just like kind of, I like to sprinkle it, just make it like snow a little cinnamon on top of the sweet potatoes. I like to think of the sweet potatoes as just like little Christmas trees, and the cinnamon as just like snow, just dusting the Christmas trees. I'm gonna throw that in the oven. This is a rather disruptive show. It's a disruptive garlic forward show.
What is the ratio of garlic to food? in this.
Yeah,
meal.
the ratio, I'll tell you, the ratio of garlic to food in the show is similar to the ratio of show to show in the show. Because while we're making a show, as we're making a show, there is another show being filmed by another show through another show. I sort of walk through life thinking that there are many cameras in general, just following me and watching.
That's kind of egomaniac a little bit.
Yes.
That kind of makes.
Yeah, except for in my case, I'm trying to escape the cameras. So we got some pork chop loins here. I'm gonna throw them into this bowl. What we're doing now is we're cooking some. We're gonna stir fry some, not stir fry, but sort of pan fry some of these guys here. The beans, I think they're called, sprouts, beans, something like that. Anyway, the point is, we have together, as a community, reached a pivotal goal, a threshold that we crossed of having double-digit subscribers.
Woo!
Yeah. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you, and also you're welcome. I am chopping the ends off these beans here. Why am I doing that, you might ask? We're running into some tension in the show, but it's sort of like, you know, The Masked Singer. I've never seen the show The Masked Singer in my life, but I've heard that there's a show called The Masked Singer, and what I imagine it is similar to what we're doing here. I'm just putting some salt here on our pork chop loins for the recipe.
Is it kosher salt? I want it to be kosher salt.
The salt is perhaps kosher, which I think does technically, as far as the Talmud says, cancel out the lack of kosher of cooking pork and eating pork. I just want to make sure our viewers know is while you're cooking sweet potatoes, one, it's important not to forget that you're cooking sweet potatoes, which I just did, and two, you got to agitate them a little bit. They don't like to. You got to make sure you kind of give them a little shake. And I like to say things with confidence, even though there's not actually any reason to believe that I know what I'm talking about. So we're not going to put too much pepper, but just a little bit. Just.
Our normal interaction is more of okay, but.
One thing we want to do before what we're gonna do is put these pork chops into our cast iron skillet, and there's a few things I want to note here. It's really important to use a cast iron skillet. I think you're right, and I also I personally take offense at that. On the next show, we might invite like like somebody like a Mark Zuckerberg or like Elon Musk or somebody to just join in and do some Q&A about the role of social media in our contemporary lives. They will. I mean, unfortunately, we won't be able to give them too much time because the show's about cooking. It's a complex world we live in. But what's important to remember in our complex world is that before we put our pork chops into the skillet, we've got to pat them dry. And that makes quite a difference. Now, I don't know if you're supposed to salt them before or after patting them dry. Logically speaking, I salted them and now I'm patting them dry, and so I'm basically taking a lot of the salt off. So that doesn't seem logical to me. But at the same time, this show aims to disrupt logic. I'm just washing my hands because I've been touching pork, and I feel like there's something around touching pork and cooking that we have to be aware of. And here we see another benefit of the cast iron skillet because it can go straight into the oven, unlike these Teflon ones that have a rubber handle. I do like to cook and clean simultaneously.
Because I just drank this entire bottle of it.
Yeah, but didn't I write on it? Yeah, I wrote like on ice, I'd shaken, put on ice. At least?
Well, you wrote shake, drink with ice.
Yeah.
And shake again. So I shook it really, really hard, and I had at least half an ice cube.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like 3 minutes per side. Oh, my Siri is telling me the temperature. Thank you.
Who is going in the background saying, ay.
Yeah. That's our co-host and his grandmother, Yulia. I think I was supposed to put butter on this, but we got so much oil in there that I don't think it matters. Did you know that Galileo was the church didn't like Galileo? Yeah, and what we just witnessed here was an example of disrupting some white supremacist Eurocentric ideas because the idea that so Galileo had these. I was going to cut this in half, but we're already cooking sweet potatoes, so I'm not going to do that. Columbus is credited with this, right? That he didn't, he sailed the ocean blue in, 1492, 1842? We'll look up the date and get back to our viewers. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, yeah. I wonder if we should invite our Flat Earth community members to the comment section and join us in conversation. We don't take kindly to critical feedback on this show, and so we don't really We feel like the audience's role is just to sort of watch and praise us. We want the praise. We just don't want the criticism. Correct. What we want is unconditional love and unbridled accolades and a constant flow of praise. And that's it. When cooking, by the way, it's important to use a lot of gadgets. We have an expansive relationship with gadgets. Currently here I have a meat thermometer. It's going to be used to test the temperature of the pork because you want your pork at the right temperature when you eat it. There is a small hiccup with this process, and I wonder if anybody can guess what the hiccup is.
You don't know what the right temperature is?
I do not know what the temperatures of the pork ought to be. This is more of an exploratory. Well, let's no promises. I'm gonna stick it in here. I think that's how it works. I've never used the meat thermometer. So we're experiencing something new. So it's at 112 degrees. How does that well, hold on, it's going up 113. That's pretty good. 113.8. Not bad. 114. We're getting some high numbers here. We're getting some good numbers on our meat on our pork. To hit, it might reach 116. By the way, everybody watching at home, feel free to add your bets on the sidebar here, right? And then whoever it's like Price is Right, sort of like if you're closest. How long am I supposed to keep it? Because it's still going up, but I'm getting tired of holding it here. I'm just gonna put a little bit of lemon juice on top of the beans. One, because I think it'll taste good, and two, because I was not doing something for about 30 seconds and that bothered me. We're anti-Skype, but we're pro-Google. And now we got a little piece of lemon in there, but that's fine. That'll just that's part of the, oh no, that's garlic. That's even better. Our sweet potatoes are almost done, and the pork, we're not sure what's gonna happen with that. See, the thing is that it's not gonna fit in here, so I'm gonna have to, but I'd love to consolidate the garlic, but that's, the two golden rules of garlic, and this is one of those cooking tips, is one, you wanna get the most garlic out of your garlic, and that's sort of a good rule of thumb. And then two, you wanna consolidate your garlic.
Do you feel like the first half or the second half is harder?
Yeah, I start with the second half actually, so we're going backwards here. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing though, is that the outcome of a fight on our show is, it's not that everybody's a winner. That's not the case. This is not kumbaya. But it's also not the case that people are losers, because we're post-binary as far as win and lose go on this show. But I will say that I think from my just sort of initial research, I'm quite, in many ways, the whole point of this whole thing has been so I get to do this. I will say this, our beans are done. They're quite tasty. I've snacked on a few throughout the show. They've got some lime in them, some garlic, some oil, some salt, and some onion and some love. Martha Stewart is a criminal, and we don't associate with criminals on this show. This show does not believe in restorative justice. Yeah. We want to be clear from the get-go is that we do not condone white-collar crime on this show, or embezzlement or insider trading. What's that?
White collar not acceptable, but what kind is?
All other collars are acceptable, but not white collar crime. Yeah, we got some sweet potatoes. Now these are with cinnamon. They're quite hot, but good. And they feel hot, like really hot, but I don't know how hot they are. All right, let's take a look at these pork chops, because I think that basically they're done here. We're gonna broil them on low, because we want a little crust on the sweet potatoes. We have a meat thermometer. It's climbing. It's jumping degrees. Copernicus was the guy who looked at this, who said something about stars, I think, right?
Nope.
175, that's pretty good. You wanna make sure you wipe down your meat thermometer because you wanna take care of your tools. And as a true chef, our tools are parts of who we are, right? So they're an extension of us and we are an extension of them. May you be a dutiful cook with bountiful meals and a heavy soul. And by the way, Lynn, we hope you're watching and happy to have you here.
What kind of hurt? What kind of sad?
If you're not watching, we'll be personally offended. And so here we are, folks. We've got some sweet potatoes salted like French fries, and then we've got some sweet potatoes with a little bit of cinnamon. We got some lemony, garlic, onion infused beans with the ends chopped off, and we've got pork that is cooked to a temperature.
Oh my God.
And I'm gonna push here, right?